Welcome to Whose AI Is It Anyway? We're gonna be talking about some of the equity issues relating to AI. Things are changing very, very fast. I want to just tell you the anecdote I heard yesterday that really blew me away. So my husband's a physician, and his medical center introduced an AI bot to help doctors answer emails, which is a huge issue in medical care today. In 4 months, the AI bot went from being unusable to being so accurate that he finds the majority of his emails are now usable when they have been phrased by AI. So I don't know what LLM they're using. In the beginning, it was too polite, and now it's straight to the point. So things are moving very, very fast. We're gonna be talking today about whether we know it's moving fast, but is it moving fairly? And we'll talk also about what it means to be fair. So our 4 panelists today represent 4 very different perspectives. They come from different areas of the education ecosystem and the business ecosystem. So I'm going to ask them to start by, first of all, telling us what perspective they do represent, and then a little bit about what they see as the promise or peril associated with higher education. And John, I think I'm going to lead off with you.
Great, thanks. I am John Harnisher. I work for a company called DataKind, and we provide data science, machine learning, and now mostly AI services for social impact organizations and other nonprofits. And so my perspective really comes from how do we bring what is available in the private sector to those social impact organizations that may not have the same level of data science and those kind of capabilities. I think I've seen the promise here in the last couple of days in terms of people just getting in and trying it, right? Really working with the technology, jumping into LLMs, thinking about how they can use AI, not only to help them do the kinds of easy things that AI can do, but also to actually start to think about what do we do as an organization, and can I take some of those functions and actually begin to use AI to move us and move our mission forward. So I've been really excited to see that. The peril, I think, is that it's very easy for the way that we are building, the way that we are moving forward, to not take the time to think about equity, to think about the digital divide. And I think it's very easy for us to slip into a space where we are recreating some of the problems of the past, and we're not really making sure that AI is working for all. So that's my
So that speed could be an issue, both an advantage and a disadvantage. Dara, do you want to jump in here?
Yes, hi, I'm Dara Byrne. I'm the Dean of Macaulay Honors College, which is one of the 25 colleges that represents the City University of New York. CUNY is the largest urban university in the country, and so the work that we do there really has a profound impact on rooting students and their families out of poverty. In 2016, I had the great fortune of working with DataKind to look at a particular retention and persistence issue at John Jay College, where I was previously associate provost and dean. And one of the things that opportunity provided me with as a non-technologist, who you usually don't see on these kinds of stages, is to learn how to work collaboratively with technologists to customize or to build a solution that specifically responds to the needs of the organization. And in doing that, I really got to see what overcoming a digital divide might look like. So there's a lot of promise out there, particularly through the pathway of data philanthropy, working with social impact nonprofits that are there to help other nonprofits like mine build up their capacity. But one of the perils that I certainly see now, it's been several years since, and I've done 2 projects with DataKind and hoping to do a 3rd one, is that I'm still one of the only educators in that space that's had the opportunity to ask and answer questions and work collaboratively with nonprofits. That means we are not necessarily getting there quickly enough in terms of thinking about how we play a role in designing, not just buying off the shelf or responding to what I'm sure are the hordes of emails that you get every day for new tools, and you try to figure out, how do I get this to work, or can I afford this? In my case, I got to work on building it specifically for the organization, and in doing that, to really think about what a collaborative space around technology would look like, with ethical questions being framed from the very beginning, as opposed to trying to answer those at the end.
Judy,
Yeah.
different kind of organization.
So, hi everybody, my name is Judith Spitz and I'm the founder of a nonprofit called Breakthrough Tech, something I'm doing after a many-decade career in the corporate tech industry. And we believe that we need to change the path to power and influence in a tech-enabled world. And with what's happening in AI, there is a fierce urgency of now. People are worried and excited about the promise and peril of AI, and everyone's talking about the what and the how and the when, but we have to remember, as with many things in life, our first line of defense against those concerns is the who. Who's in those rooms? Who's asking the hard questions about what is the definition of fairness? What does ethics and bias look like? Which are the problems that AI should be pointed at? And the thing to remember is that however challenging we thought the diversity space was in tech writ large, it's worse in AI and it's moving more quickly. So we simply can't wait for this problem to fix itself. We have to programmatically address it now.
And we're certainly at a moment when fairness and diversity and all of those issues are being not only redefined, but sort of put in the corner for a while. So Meghna, let me turn over to you.
Fantastic. I'll just build on what Judy said. So I represent the industry. I've been in corporate America doing AI work for 25 years, started off as a statistician and kind of grew up as the field grew to machine learning, to deep learning, and now it's like all quote unquote AI. I work at Verizon. I head up the AI organization at Verizon. And most of my work is in the applied part of AI. And this is important because even though companies have been doing applied work, AI is more seen as something esoteric research. But with what happened with ChatGPT, people are now thinking of AI as a product, AI as a capability. And we are really in the early stages of this. And this is where doing this right, not making the mistake we made with the internet, is really, really critical. One of the things I'm really proud of is that we started with responsible AI at Verizon 4 years ago to unpack what does that mean and how do we make sure we design and build responsibly. And one of the things that I care about the most and worry about the most, the peril, is talent. How do we make sure that there is this bridge of talent? And it starts at high school, actually, high school level or even middle school, and build that pipeline for students for the jobs that people like me are creating in the industry. So happy to be here.
So we have higher education, we have education intermediary, we have corporate, we have data intermediary. So different different sectors represented here. And what I'm hearing from you is that those collaborations are really essential. Tell me a little bit about how you think this moment calls for different kinds of partnerships and how we're going to sustain those partnerships going forward.
I'll jump in.
Yeah.
I think about those partnerships and collaboration as solving the challenge of privileged access to opportunity. The students and the talent that we're trying to encourage to get into this industry are sitting in a place where they have all the potential in the world and none of the privileged access. If you don't know it, 90+% of the students in undergraduate school who are currently underrepresented in tech are going to schools outside of the top-ranked schools. So number one is partnership with some more elite academic institution who have an embarrassment of riches in terms of academic talent in AI, and finding innovative ways to collaborate with them to open their doors to high potential students who go to school elsewhere. 2 is the incredibly important access to industry to develop a portfolio of real world projects. Yeah. Again, if you go to a privileged school, it's built in there. If you go to a more inclusive school, it's hard to get in the door. And again, finding ways to get industries to become, someone else coined this phrase, it's not mine, but I love it, teaching companies. The way we think of teaching hospitals, so that we can create a bridge between high potential students and industries who can provide that experience. And the third leg of that stool is the public sector that has to incent all of this. We'd like to think that everybody's doing the right thing in terms of democratizing access, but there's nothing like a government regulatory tax incentive to promote the right behavior.
And do we have that?
Not yet. But
okay, note to self, we got to get that. Anybody else want to jump in on the collaboration?
No, I think about Martin Luther King's Nobel laureate speech when you asked this question. Even then, in 1967, he was thinking about the ways that man, at that time, was using technology to drive a further chasm between our communities. And he talked about his hope for technology as one where we would leverage it to move from a neighborhood to a brotherhood. And I think about that as really pointing to the potential of collaboration, the way that we can collaborate across the disciplines. Right now, about 50% of all CUNY students, again, the largest public urban university in the country, are in majors that are going to be shut out of a rapidly evolving marketplace unless we figure out how to do things. So as the non-technologist who ended up in AI through deep collaboration where I learned how to design things, how to think about the future and and the stake that I had in it, I want that for my students, particularly the non-technologists who have data insights that they can learn from, storytelling skills that they can leverage here, a deep sense of ethics and responsibility to collaborate. And so we're looking at ways to bring them into the picture here, because the future of technology is not supposed to be exclusively in the hands of technologists, but rather a collaboration where we can do more of what King said in '67 in moving from a sense of a neighborhood to a sense of a brotherhood. How do we understand the problems that we're facing right now across the disciplines from multiple communities' perspectives and open up opportunities for us in the hands of communities to ask those questions, to debate about them, and to figure out what it is we want tech to do, but most of all, how it is that we create more opportunities for more people to be at the design stage, not just the off-the-shelf stage.
Yeah, I just jump into that. When projects are being started, I think it's really important for us to think about what is the team of people that can be involved. So in any partnership that we're thinking about, how do we ensure that we are having the voices heard that will actually move the entire project forward, and thinking about what allows us to bring this to a spot where if we are building a solution, that solution is actually going to be applied, and it's actually going to be used, and it's actually going to drive forward a change in the project or in the problem that we're trying to solve. So I think that's the one thing that's really important. The other one, to just follow up on the point that Judy made, that we should really be pushing to think about experiential learning in everything that's available. And so if there are partnerships out there where there's a chance to make sure that we are allowing more experiential learning, allowing more internships, allowing more of that work, I think that's really important for us to try to drive forward. And that's a partnership that we would want to be a part of.
I actually have a build on to that, is that, having recruiting for years in this field, it's really important. I think the onboarding into workforce should go like the medical field, where you have residentials and long-term engagements with the industry to actually learn the practice. It is a practice. And it's not just for the coders and the mathematicians, as Dara is talking about. there's a whole team of designers and organized people who are good at organization skills, project managers, all of these things. And so like, it's not just for the AI data scientist talent that there should be residentials, but the whole team that's going to build these tools and products and capabilities. It's not going to be like, you graduate, you get an interview, you get your job. It's too slow for that. You should think about, like, from an education, how medical field just like takes nurses and all kinds of roles into the industry. I think that needs to be created and figured out. And I know, Judy, your program helps us do that at Verizon.
Yeah.
So lightning round. Is AI going to level the playing field? Do we feel optimistic? Are we worried? How are we thinking about the road ahead as AI gets integrated into everything that we do, from hiring to training to higher education? Let's go right down the road.
I'm
Start
worried,
with you.
and I think because it's moving so quickly, we don't have time to think this through. So that's why I think organizations like Breakthrough Tech as an intermediary are jumping into that white space and solving the problem. Longer term, maybe the public sector will jump in, but I think this is moving way too quickly. We need solution providers that sit in the white space to make sure it doesn't go off the track.
Great. John?
Yeah, I think it's moving quickly, and I think we're at a really critical juncture. So I do think if we could make change now, if we can make a lot of noise about it now, and we can start to say, how do we make sure there are more people at the table who are making decisions? What are we doing right now as this explosion is going to continue? I think there's a chance to move it forward, but I do share the concerns that unless we take a moment to try to do this in a way that is more inclusive, we could go down a road very easily that will lead to further inequity. So I think we have a moment right now to make a change.
Yeah, I think I'm more on the worry side. I am more of an optimist, but I am worried about this because, again, using my medical field analogy, we did that over 50 years. How do we do that in 10 years, 5 years is the challenge that is in front of us. And we don't have a plan, sort of like we're all figuring it out. So there's a lot to be done.
Very worried. It's 8 years later from when I started tinkering with AI, and I'm still the only person at my university that serves 500,000 students that has collaborated on building AI machine learning to solve an urban problem. That is way too slow, and most of our colleges still don't have the kind of data maturity necessary to step into that arena. And it's not clear, other than DataKind and a couple of other organizations, who is out there to help us in a way that is affordable and sustainable. So if the biggest urban university has a problem moving forward with this, then we should really be worried about what the future looks like in the largest city in the country.
So that glass is really half empty, but it's also half full. So there's room for growth. I think the sense I get from all four of you is, number one, the moment is now. Urgency is key. We've got to act. And number two, that we're only going to get there if we collaborate across the sectors. So please join me in thanking our panelists, and thank you so much for your discussion.
Thank you.
Thank you.